2, 1.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the first mock draft of the season here at The Athletic. We're all using Jake Ciely's rankings, so don't get too excited. Make sure you check out Jake Ciely's rankings, which are up right now on theathletic.com. We got a 90-day free trial, which basically gets you to August if you're watching this at the end of April. Who knows when you might be watching this. But anyway, we got a full crew here. What we're doing is we got a 12-person league, half-point PPR. We got six of us here, and we're basically going to draft two teams. Unrelated teams. They're all totally shut off from each other, but it was just easier than getting 12 people on Zoom. So if you're looking at your screen, actually, I don't know if we got the same screen from where I am. Right. Derek VanRiper.
Howdy.
Brandon Funston. Woo. Jakey Jakey, the Beast Ciely.
Yes.
Michael Beller.
What's up, guys?
And Chris Meaney.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Chris, so we're doing this memorabilia thing, by the way. Side note. You made me think of it. One of the things I almost bought, the Angels had a giveaway like 4 years ago where they made ugly sweater hats, and they look pretty cool.
Yeah, you should get one.
I almost, but I got something else instead.
They do weird things. They celebrate like Christmas in July at the stadium, and they usually have like scarves and hats and toques. Yeah,
well, they had a Mike Trout Nutcracker that also broke my budget, so I couldn't get that either. But
it would have been worth it.
Very Christmassy team that you have there. Well, there are a lot available online for $13 and $3.65.
I already got my Baby Yoda. He already showed up yesterday.
Oh,
Everybody wants to know how I got it because pre-order. And if anybody wants, this is the one, Nando. If anyone wants to buy Marcus Mariota on the Titans for $2,
overpriced.
John Cruz will take it.
Yeah, yeah, you would.
By the way, I knew Jake back when he only had one bookcase of Funko Pops.
You knew maybe before I had any Funko Pops.
I'm sure you had some.
No, I mean the first three. One of them was Batman.
You know, Jake, instead of the draft, why don't you just go from top left corner and just tell us every one of your Funko Pops?
Just draft your Funko Pops.
There's hidden ones too because they're being used as bases to prop up the rest.
That's so strange. You're such a weird guy.
I have like
all right,
50
this is
now.
the man whose rankings you're trusting. So here we go. The draft order goes: Beller 1, Meaney 1, Jake 1, Funston 1, Beller 2, then me, then DVR 1, and he wrote good for some reason. I don't know why. And then Jake 2, then Nando 2, then Meaney 2, then Funston 2, then I get it. Then DVR 2, the evil DVR. So the ends are going to be Beller and DVR. The rest of us are stuck in the middle. Jake's kind of floating in the middle as well. He came up with the draft order, so good for you,
Excel
Jake.
came up with it.
Sure they did.
Well, I wouldn't be happy if Beller should be the happy one.
1 and 5, yeah.
Spots.
Let's play this out for real.
Beller's that guy officially out of the league. Yeah, go home. Turn off your screen. All right, let's do this. No clock. We're all professionals here. We're going to just make our picks and go. So Michael Beller with the first pick of the 2020 The Athletic mock draft on Zoom.
Explain it's 6 rounds and there's no position requirements. You could draft 6 wide receivers. If
I want to give the rules.
He just did. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, well said.
Half PPR.
Half PPR, yeah.
And
so Beller, you want me to just take care of it for you? It's not like there you go.
Yeah, go ahead, put it in. Christian McCaffrey, consensus number 1. I feel very good about starting off like that. And I mean, there wasn't a consensus number 1 last year, was there? I mean, this feels like the first one in a while.
No.
We know for sure number 1, no question about it.
First
last
time
year was
since
the
the
4.
Antonio Brown days, probably.
Yeah. So
is
it
that
feels
what
good.
you need? You need a consensus? Is that what
I don't need it, but it feels nice to know that there's not going to be any questioning of this number 1 overall pick. Let's go McCaffrey.
I don't know. I question it.
So I was told by Jake before the show that if I didn't leave Saquon for him, he would give me a hard
That's
time.
not true.
So I'm going to go with Zeke.
Really?
I am.
One point here that we got to make, Jake's supposed to be running the draft board. He gets very angry if someone else puts names in, so you could just announce it, and then Jake will put it in.
I was going to do that
I
for
like that,
ease. I was trying to do it as a favor. See, this is what Nando does, everybody out there. Like, I try to do favors, and then Nando turns it into, like, this is what Jake's wants.
It's not a it's a favor. Thanks,
Can we
Jake.
just
All
make
right.
that? Let's just vote that that's what Jake is the monitor of the players and the players for this.
I like that. Put in Zeke.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Meaney put Ezekiel Elliott in, and he's like down the bottom left. He's not centered right, and I know that drives Jake crazy, so he's going to fix it anyway.
Oh, I got McCaffrey.
3 times. All 3 of us started with McCaffrey.
He's that good.
All right, so Chris, Ezekiel Elliott, you didn't really do that for Jake, right?
No, I didn't. Obviously splitting hairs between the two. I'm just going with the back in the better offense. To be honest with you, I think that when I decide between Zeke and Barkley, that's how I'm probably going to go. I don't expect him to get 70-plus catches like he did a couple of years ago. CD Lamb there obviously kind of hurts that, but I like that offense, and he should score a lot of touchdowns.
Plus, I get to do this as Barkley's flipping.
See,
out.
Look it was totally worth it.
She was so mad, and she scratched me in the face. Holy crap!
You're not going to take this mock seriously.
Yeah. So I'm taking Saquon Barkley, and Barkley's flipping out because I took her away from her bone.
Jake, how close were Ezekiel and Barkley for you when you were setting these rankings up?
She got me good. Hold on, I can look at my projections. That's how I rank. I rank to my projections.
I know, that's why I was asking how close they were. They're both running backs. It seems like you got a level playing field to compare the two.
You certainly do. I would actually even argue that you could say that Zeke is safer, given it's the Giants. But Let's see. I'll tell you right now, the half-point PPR, Barkley 277, Zeke 267. So 10 points, so not even a point a week.
All right, nice. So you can feel good either way.
Yeah, you can feel good either way, which makes Funston has the toughest decidecision probably.
Yeah, Funston's got number 4 now.
Yeah, it's a player from the New Orleans Saints. Just give him to me. I'll go with AK-47, Alvin Kamara.
Oh, I put in Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Oh, he put in the wrong Saint.
I would be fine with Michael Thomas, but I'm going to go Kamara, who was not healthy last year. The weird year in New Orleans. He wasn't healthy for most of the year. Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback for half the year. Kamara still ended up RB10 in points per game. He's had 81 or more catches every year. The big downer last year was he was just way down on his touchdowns. He had 13 his first year, 19 his second year, and only 6 last year. So I think that comes up, just a little bit of health improvement. Drew Brees all season long. I'm going to feel good about this pick.
All right, Beller, you're up.
Again.
I thought I was going to be taking a Saint here too because I thought Michael Thomas would be available, but with Dalvin Cook sitting there, I'm going to go Dalvin Cook. That monster year a year ago, love seeing the pass catching that he put up last season. 53 grabs, 63 targets. No Stephon Diggs. Obviously, they made a replacement in the draft, but still think that reception line it could be there for him again this season. We know what he does on the ground. Love Dalvin Cook, number 5. I'll take him narrowly over Michael Thomas.
All right, so we got a run on running backs, basically. First 5 picks for running backs. Next available, according to Jake, is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette, Joe Mixon. I'm up on Michael Thomas, Jakey Jakey.
That kind of figure.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I don't think you need to explain much there. Let's move on to DVR, the good DVR. Without the could you just cover up your goatee so we know it's the good one picking?
All right, so yeah, the good DVR is going to be the homer who takes Devontae Adams here. Only played 12 games last year and may have been hobbled for a few of those later in the year as well. But if you look at the target volume, he's a 10 target per game guy. The Packers have done pretty much nothing at wide receiver because I don't think Devin Funchess is good. Maybe he can block or something. He can be useful that way. But I don't really see any threats to change how much Aaron Rodgers is going to be locked in on Devontae Adams. So playing the volume game here and really kind of playing the what-if exercise. What happens if you are in the middle of the round and you do start building with a wide receiver? What do your running backs look like through the first few rounds? Because I think that's the question you're always asking if you have to go that direction.
This is a good one here for Jake, who's picking now number 7. I've lost count. Jake, why don't we have the numbers in here? Come on, man. Let's just say this is 7, right?
This is pick 8.
This is pick 8.
It's pick 8. Here, I'll put them under the cells for you. I didn't realize it was going to be that tough for you.
I'll just do it. All right, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'll fill all the rest after you make this pick. But you've been a very vocal supporter of the new Kansas City running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I've seen you in the comments of your column and stuff kind of defend him. Everyone's like, oh, he's too high. But you're like, no, Pat Mahomes loves him, whatever. So I guess the chips are all on the table right now, Jakey. Do you take the guy that you love and you've been kind of advocating, you've ranked very high, or do you go like DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, maybe Travis Kelce's in the mix here? What are you going? Which way are you going?
I'm going Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I take RBs in the first round, 90. Like unless if we were doing, I'll give you an example. We're doing this draft and I was in your spot, or even right here, I might think about Michael Thomas if everybody else went running backs. And then honestly, I probably would have taken Michael Thomas over him. But at this point, Julio Jones, Hopkins, Godwin, I mean, you can make question marks for all of them given their situations now. And the fact is, as we said before we even started this show, I don't need him to rush for 1,000 yards. I don't need him to get 250 touches. He's in the Kansas City Chiefs offense. He's Kamara and arguably a better offense.
I'm up next. I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins. My gut kind of wanted to go Travis Kelce, but I don't think with the 9th pick I want to start my whole team with Travis Kelce. And DeAndre Hopkins is going to be pretty awesome, I would assume, in the Arizona offense. So give me DeAndre Hopkins. Meaney, your 2nd pick is up.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Julio Jones there, Mr. Consistency in football over the past several years. 15 games last year, 16 games the year before that, 16 games the year before that. Everyone's talking about the injuries. Julio's fine. Lock him in for me.
So I'm putting the numbers in so I know where we are. With pick 11, Brandon Funston, 2nd pick, you're up. And then DVR is up for 2. And DVR, before you pick, well, actually, Funston, you go ahead first. But since we're all friends here, why don't you tell us who you're hoping falls back to you at 14 with whatever you pick here?
You want me to reveal who I hope comes back after DVR picks 2?
No, it is evil DVR, but I just – all right, fine. Hold that thought.
That's a terrible idea in my
Write
head.
it down on a piece of paper and hold it up after DVR makes his 2 picks. But what's the strategy going in here?
Because he can't see the screen?
You get sniped twice.
I gotta find a blank piece of paper. So, all right, I'm writing it right now. Do you want me to make my number 11 pick here?
Yeah, I'd say make 11 pick. And, yeah.
Yeah, let's see here. I might be highest on this guy in the industry. I don't know, but I love him. It's Josh Jacobs. I think the Vegas Raiders got a huge shot in the arm on offense with Henry Ruggs, but Josh Jacobs, the plan was to make him a bigger part of that passing game. They got rid of DeAndre Washington, who had 36 catches. I think Josh Jacobs inherits a whole bunch of those targets, and he was a stud last year, and he played 14 games. He gave a whole 16 games. I think he is a top 7-8 running back, and I will take him right here at number 11. I have my pick 14, the guy I'm going to pair with Josh Jacobs, written right here, and so we'll see if DVR, the evil DVR, steals him from me.
Evil DVR, you're up for picks number 12 and 13. What's your strategy? This is, 2 picks in a row, the same team. What's your strategy here?
Well, I don't want to find out what happens if you don't take a running back at 12 and 13. So one of the picks has to be a running back, and with it being half PPR, I will take Derrick Henry with the first of the 2 picks. If it were full PPR, I might go to someone who is more involved in the passing game. We're talking about a guy who's averaged 5 yards a carry over his last 500 carries. He's just a bell cow in an offense that's been, frankly, a lot better than I expected it to be. So I guess I'm starting to buy in on the Titans. Maybe too late. Maybe they're already ready to start falling apart. But hopefully we got one more massive year coming from Derrick Henry. I am going to pair him with Travis Kelce, though. So I will take the first tight end off the board. Kind of an opposite build of good DVR's team where I went receiver first. I'm going to push it and see what happens with receivers if I wait a little bit to address that position. But with Kelce, we know we're likely to get any given year. I mean, this is a loaded offense. They're going to put plenty of points on the board. And I don't really see any reason why he would start to fall back this season.
Brandon Funston, were you sniped?
Can you guys read that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was not sniped.
I'm going
All
to
right,
Not
nice.
sniped. Not that
Nice.
evil. Not that
Nice.
evil, DVR.
Well, he
I
named
will take-
himself.
Yeah, I will take Chris Godwin to pair with Josh Jacobs there as Tampa builds their Kansas City of the NFC offense. This was a guy that I think he was number 2 in half PPR at receiver last year. I just think he fits very well Tom Brady. So very happy to get him on the comeback.
All right, Chris Meaney, your second team's up. You already got Julio Jones. Who's your next pick?
I was sniped there. But I still
Well,
am.
I wanted Julio on the way up, so
Okay, well, we'll do
Right
this
back
to
at
each
you.
other throughout the 6 rounds here. I'm going to go wide receiver here with Meaney too. So I'm going to – this is an easy one,
I
actually.
thought you were talking to the third person.
Yeah, me too.
Tyreek Hill. I'm going to pair up Julio Jones with Tyreek Hill. The big playability.
And then that brings up
You're taking Juju because you hate Juju.
Juju is ranked way too high, bud.
I'm going to take you know what? So you got Leonard Fournette, Mixon, and Chubb as the top 3 here. I'm going to go with Mixon. I think Fournette, whatever his situation is, still kind of uncertain to me. I do like the fact Tom Coughlin's out of there, and they can run their own show now. as the coaching staff, but I think Joe Mixon's going to be a lot better this year. So Joe Mixon with the 16th pick.
Anybody worried about a holdout? I'm not. I don't think he's going to end up holding out.
I don't think so. That's an exciting team now.
Yeah, exactly.
No. You actually kind of sniped me to the proof that I don't always go 100% to my rankings is that I would take Mixon over Fournette because of what you just mentioned. It's not even just that, Nando. The coaching staff said he's a locker room cancer now. But it's past well, no, here's the thing is their only option now is to release him. They're not going to, there's no trade left and they're not going to get anything at this point. So I'm going to, you know what? Despite that, I am going to roll the dice because I am a Leonard Fournette guy and the fact that 1,700 yards and 3 touchdowns, that has to change. So
what if it's the yard change and not the touchdown?
I'm not the cancers out there. I would pick Fournette.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing is I'm not that worried about it. Raquel Armstead he's not Leonard Fournette, so hopefully everything stays the same.
This is back to picking DVR, good DVR. Aaron Jones is still out there. You got Devontae Adams. This is the all homer team. How are you?
So is Jordan Love.
Yeah, Jordan Love is out there, but a couple backs I actually like in this spot. So it turns out okay. 2 guys who I think could actually end up being RB1s this year. I'm going to take Nick Chubb. I mean, I think what was happening with Kareem Hunt catching passes after his suspension last year was annoying and frustrating because I think Nick Chubb is actually capable of being a legitimate pass catcher. He didn't really have opportunities to do that at Georgia because they had Sony Michel there. But workload-wise, no concerns about the carries. I mean, maybe a little bit of a Derrick Henry lighter than you would want in terms of his passing game volume, but still a guy who I really like just because the floor seems extremely high.
And that brings us back to it's me. All right, I got Michael Thomas in my first. I'm going to go George Kittle with my second pick here.
Tight end.
Just to get a different look to a team. I don't usually do that, but one team's got the regular wide receiver, running back. This version is going to have the wide receiver, tight end. See how it plays out. Beller, you're up. Beller 2 is up.
All right, so off the top, I made a joke about taking Jonathan Taylor with the 1.1. That's only a tiny bit of a joke, and I will admit some homerism here. Maybe you can see behind me there's a big poster of Camp Randall up above my head there. I am not an NFL draft expert. I move on to the baseball season right when the NFL regular season ends, but I don't know how anyone watches college football over the last 3 years and came away with anything other than Jonathan Taylor being the number 1 easily best running back in this class. I will happily pair Jonathan Taylor with Dalvin Cook here, start back, and focus on pass catchers after this.
No apologies needed, Beller. That was my pick. I think he's in a great situation. I love Jake. Where did you rank Marlon Mack? Like 72nd among running backs? Like you have completely.
He's done.
Yeah.
I think
that makes sense. It was pretty low, but I think that makes sense. I think Marlon Mack is now just an afterthought in this offense.
Oh, was it? It was 72nd. Wow.
Pretty good.
Good
man.
call.
Yeah.
Good call, Brandon.
Funston, you're up, by the way.
I paid attention.
It's like he edited the piece or something.
I know.
So nice pick. Yeah, you took my pick, but I am willing to fall back to Cooper Kupp. Love him. Jared Goff loves him, which is the most important thing. Put up the number 3 numbers at the wide receiver position last year. Brandon Cooks is gone, so I don't see a diminished role for him at all. So give me Cooper Kupp.
Jakey Jakey?
That's actually where I was going. I was going Cooper Kupp. I was going Cooper Kupp over Juju ahead of him because Chris hates Juju so much. But
there you go. That's where you should rank.
I was going Kupp. I'm still going to avoid Juju just because it's not even the fact that I'm that concerned about Juju. It's just I don't know what Ben is. I mean, we're assuming he's okay, but is he? I mean, we got a lot of time to find that out. So I'm going to go with somebody who not only was top 5 last year, but was top 5 without Matthew Stafford for half the season and still was top 5. So I'm going to put Kenny Golladay on this team.
Kenny Golladay to pair with Saquon Barkley. That's a very electric team.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Meaney, you're up.
All right. Damn, Jake. All right. I probably should go Kenyon Drake here. Yeah, Juju. I probably should go Kenyon Drake here, but they draft Benjamin. There's a lot of backs still in Arizona. It was a nice sample size, but it's still a little small. I'm going to go with Austin Eckler. The role there is still locked in with the Chargers. I know it's a new quarterback at play. Even if it is Herbert or Tyrod Taylor, he's still going to catch some balls out of the backfield. So give me Austin Eckler.
Jake, you're in charge. I think my groceries just got here.
Oh,
Your
nice.
groceries.
What do you got?
Well, then, Meaney, you have to do the same thing that Funston did. You have to write down on a piece of paper what you want your next pick to be as Beller takes 2 to see if you get sniped.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't see you writing. Do something.
Write it down. I'll tell you this. I know who I'm taking, but there are 3.
Wait, time out. While he's not here, can we appreciate that Nando has 1 string of lights just hanging down his wall?
Just Christmas lights that are still
Christmas
hanging
all
there.
year round in the Di Fino house.
And they're kind of askew. It's not like following like a nice line.
I have
Just
no
randomly
idea what's happening.
It's a raucous Christmas
like they were
party.
strung up and like one of the little fasteners fell off and they kind of fell down there or something. I'm not
You're gonna have to ask him about that
Oh.
when he gets back.
Yeah. All right. Where are you going, Beller? What
All right,
is going on?
so I got 3 guys here in mind. One guy I think that Meaney and I talked about almost every single episode of Best on the Board last year, dying for Miles Sanders to get more work. Please let Miles Sanders get more work. He's the one who I am just barely not picking, though, of this group. I am going to go with Kenyon Drake. I want investment in that Arizona offense, whether it's Drake, Hopkins, Kyler Murray. I want a piece of this offense. I think it explodes and takes off this season. And this is as much an investment in Arizona as it is in Kenyon Drake, the player. So he is on this team. And then I got to go with Allen Robinson. You would love to see the guy get some consistent quarterback play. He hasn't yet needed it to still be one of the best receivers in the league. And I think whether it's Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles or some combination of the two for the Bears, that Allen Robinson is a top 10 receiver and a nice pick here at first pick of the 3rd round. So 25th overall.
A-Rob.
There you
That's
go.
what I wanted, Allen Robinson.
Oh,
Makes a
yeah.
lot of good points.
Boom.
They got 100 tight ends in Chicago right now. Yeah, Allen Robinson's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of usage. He's, I think, one of the safer wide receivers in football. So I will go down the list here. Let's take Mike Evans. I was thinking about Adam Thielen, but I'm going to take the upside here with Mike Evans and hope that Tom Brady still has some zip on that ball. Let's throw the ball downfield to Mike Evans.
Yeah, it's how much downfield. We'll see. Touchdowns should hopefully be fine. That's all you're really worried about. Throw 35-plus touchdowns will be fine. So I am going – what do I need here? Oh, I got running back and wide receiver. So I said bastard because you made me unwrite his name, Beller, but since you didn't take him, I'll happily take Miles Sanders here. We complain about it all the time about that nobody in this backfield ever touches the ball 60% of the time, but even if it's 55% of the time for a full season, it's only Boston Scott. They only added wide receivers. Chris knows this. They added 17 wide receivers that run deep routes, and that's it. So I think we might feel the safest we've ever felt with a Peterson running back in a long time.
Yeah, 19 touches per game in the final 8 games without Jordan Howard is saying something.
And that's with
Doug
Boston
Peterson.
Scott getting touches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
no, I think we're all good with Miles Sanders if they start this season the way they ended it last year as just a Boston Scott Miles Sanders combo. That worked out well.
For sure.
Usually it's like 3 or 4 running backs that Peterson's, rotating through there. So if it's just 2 guys, that's a win for Sanders and makes Boston Scott a nice later round sleeper. So you took my guy, Jake. Thanks a lot.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I like Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Ben Roethlisberger from early reports is going to be all right. So just, believe in a lot of volume still there for Juju. All that stuff that we talked about last year we thought would happen. We didn't know that Duck Hodges was going to happen and a bunch of other terrible throwing quarterbacks. So give me Schuster with Big Ben back in the fold.
And we're about to – you need to, milk the clock here, Beller, because we're going to, have our first – the first clock warning on Nando.
Nando's upstairs making a sandwich right now.
I mean, if it was going to be anybody, is it any shock that it's Nando?
No, that was a guarantee. It was a guarantee it was happening and that it was him.
He's going to get auto-picked here is what's going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so – what are you doing, Beller?
So this to me is a pretty interesting spot. There are a few receivers who I like. Basically, I could see going any of the first 3 that you have listed at the top of your rankings of the players remaining. Jake, Thielen, Amari Cooper, Cortland Sutton. I think Amari Cooper's going to be fine even after the CeeDee Lamb addition for the Cowboys. None of the running backs jump out at me. I worry a little bit about what the Packers draft means for Aaron Jones' workload. If you could tell me that Aaron Jones was going to be a bell cow or something approximating it, he would be a relatively easy choice for me, even though I already have two running backs here. Part of me is afraid to go this all the way up until what would be pick 44 without a wide receiver for this team. And I know none of us like to take quarterbacks early, but I'm going to dive in to the quarterback pool, and perhaps not with the one who you would expect, because I think Patrick Mahomes is still the best fantasy quarterback there is, no matter what Lamar Jackson did last year, and he was unbelievable, obviously, and I think he can come close to doing something like that. But if I have to bet on one guy being the QB1, it is going to be Patrick Mahomes. I think we see something closer to 2018 stats rather than 2019 stats from him. And again, an investment in the Chiefs as much as it is an investment in Mahomes.
All right, so let's be on. Actually, while we're waiting for Nando, that's a good talking point. Let's be honest about that right now. In your home leagues, he's probably going before the end of the second round, Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, one of the quarterbacks. Is this for everybody? Is this the cutoff point in an experts league? Once we hit middle round 3, if both of them are out there, you're taking one? DVR, you haven't talked in a while.
No, I was thinking about this exact same thing, and maybe when Nando comes back, he ends up taking Lamar Jackson, and they're both gone. But I was planning on taking one of them if they were there, because that's enough of a discount. And I think when you're building from the middle or the end of the round, you don't necessarily have the best of the best at running back. You may not even have the best receiver on the board, but if you have the best quarterback on the board, you get that leg up at that position, those extra 2 or 3 points most weeks that you get on average, if those guys hit their kind of projected output, is going to give you a way of kind of catching up to make it seem as though you had an earlier pick, right? You don't have McCaffrey if you're drafting in the middle of round 1. You got to make up that ground somewhere else. I think the difference between some of the running backs and receivers we're looking at this point in the draft versus the guys you're going to get in rounds 4 and 5, it's a pretty small gap. So you might as well get the upgrade at quarterback if you can.
So no way Jake part 2 was getting them.
Well,
nice timing, Nando. Wait, Nando, make your pick, and then we're going to ask you the question that we're in the middle of talking about, because it really depends on what you do right here.
Let me see. Who went? Robinson, Evans, Sanders, Smith, Schuster, Mahomes.
He's doing it.
Yeah, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what we. So that's perfect. Nando, we were just talking about like home leagues. He would probably, both of them would be gone by the end of the second round. And was this the cutoff for everybody? Where at this point, and even in the experts league, where you would take Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes?
I might have taken Lamar Jackson with that George Kittle pick, to be honest, but I figured I'm going to wait.
And you rolled.
Thanks.
So it was basically rolling the dice. Yeah, but I think in our very, very early December mock, I took Lamar Jackson at the end of the first round, or maybe start of the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's a lot of points.
Took Juju. Instead of taking Juju, I almost took the quarterback. But honestly, like Beller, the reason I didn't, because I couldn't decide in my head right now if I want to go Mahomes or if I want to go Lamar Jackson. And then you look at Dak Prescott and Kyler Murray and how much, with Hopkins and with CeeDee Lamb, how much their stocks have bumped up. They're a little bit closer to this group as well. So just enough pause that I decided not to do it. But I think this is absolutely the time that you start thinking about it.
Well, Nando, real quick, Nando, does it make you concerned that you have no running back? You went wide receiver, tight end, quarterback on this team?
Just got the best running back in football.
Yeah, Jake, I got a running back. No, you know why? Because I'm going down the list. I'm not studying it too hard, but I mean, I'm scrolling down the list of running backs available. And look, man, Melvin Gordon, who's like 8th on this list right now of best available, and David Johnson, who I think I'm just eyeballing this, maybe 10th. Mark Ingram's 12th. Darius Geis is 13th. Like, there are a lot of good players. When it comes back on this team, I'm just going to bang 2 of them out, and I'm going to have a really nice balanced team. So, I mean, like Jordan Howard.
Make it back to you. Oh, stop.
Come on. One of those 10 are going to make it back to me.
Jordan Howard's doo-doo. All right.
Jake, that's what's going to allow him to fall to me in the 5th round.
Yeah, and then we'll watch Breida outperform him when he's healthy.
Outperform, but he still might perform well.
Hey, that's fine. Here, and then you take control after DVR picks. You get back in control here, but I just want to see if Chris.
There's 12 picks before this team picks again, Nando. So
yeah, I just want to see if Chris or Beller want to talk about the quarterbacks.
I already talked about him when I took Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean,
no. But why? Like, why you? Anyway, go ahead. I was saying why you would wait and not take.
If I would not take one of them?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is the cutoff point. This is where there
so no matter, that's what I'm saying. No matter what, this is too far at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that there's obvious talent drop off at pretty much every other position, and Mahomes and Lamar still, to me, even though I agree with Funston that Dak and Kyler are closer to that discussion than they were before their teams made those wide receiver additions. but still the clear-cut 1 and 2, and so obviously above those guys that this is where they should be going. I wouldn't take them really any earlier. I wouldn't try to be reaching any higher for these guys, even as good as they are.
I think the real question now is when's the third one going to come off the board?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe not in this draft.
Right. We might not see him.
It wouldn't be for me. Like I couldn't get behind taking Dak or Kyler. I just won't have shares.
And
I can't get behind 4th, 5th round, 6th round picks.
I mean, you're like number 3.
Where the 12 team, like I've done, I don't know how many drafts you guys have done, but I've seen in half PPR 1 quarterback leagues so far. The 5th round is where you get that next run of the next tier is where it's happened so far. I don't know what you guys have seen.
No, see, that's the biggest thing is there's such a slim margin from Rodgers to Daniel Jones because he's poor man's Jameis Winston. Like you come out of the draft, I mean, if you're going by my ranks, but I mean, that's the thing. You could shake up this entire group. You're going to come out with Brady, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Wentz, Matt Ryan, Baker. You're going to get one of them at the end of the draft. Yep. And that's an end of a normal draft.
Yeah.
Superflex. Superflex needs to be the
We've
standard.
Been trying.
Mahomes and Lamar are first-round picks in Superflex leagues.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. They would have been long gone.
I would take Mahomes 2 overall in a Superflex, I think, just behind McCaffrey.
So DVR is up. And then Nando, you take over.
Oh, thank you, Jake.
It's kind of a tough spot here. Definitely a few players to consider. I think DeAndre Swift is probably the home run pick. It could go wrong if they use Kerryon Johnson more than we think they will. There's stuff that can always go wrong with the Lions. If I've learned anything observing that team for my entire lifetime, they can screw us very unexpectedly. But DeAndre Swift looks like he could be a legitimate 3-down back, has all the tools we're looking for. I waited to get a running back to the 2nd round here, so I think it makes sense to be a little more aggressive since I locked in Adams with the first pick from the 7th spot.
I actually like it, especially because it doesn't screw up my pick.
Jake, Jake, you're up next. Jake 2 is up next.
I know. Well, I already had 2 running backs, and I feel like there's a cutoff right after this guy because 2 of the people on this show know my disdain for Amari Cooper, and I'm not taking him here in the 3rd round as my first wide receiver. But I will take Adam Thielen now that Stefanski's gone and Stephon Diggs is gone, and the fact that 2 years ago, people seem to have forgotten he was wide receiver 7 just 2 years ago. So I'll take Adam Thielen, which should be 140-plus targets this year.
All right, so you got 2 running backs. You got Edwards-Helaire, Fournette, and now you got Thielen. That brings it back. Oh, I'm up again. DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Mixon. I think, I guess I should have been paying better attention than just making sure you colored in Andre Swift correctly. Right now, it's between Todd Gurley, Amari Cooper, and Darren Waller. I'm going to go with Todd Gurley. I'm going to go for it. Screw it. Yeah, Jakey Jakey. This is a weird team, man. This is DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Mixon, and Todd Gurley. So at this point, we're just all in on risk and weirdness. Me too.
Who else thought it was amazing that Atlanta did not take a running back in the draft? I thought
that's a testament. Even if he's 90%, not Nando. I was looking at Todd Gurley for my Jake 2 pick, but then I was I already have 2 running backs, so 3 running backs, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I think at this point in the draft, and Nando, if you didn't take Gurley, I would have taken him for sure too. Late 3rd for a guy with that kind of upside, even if he only touches the ball 15, 18 times in that offense, catching balls out of the backfield, I think it's a definite win. Another back that I like that I talk a lot about with Jake is Chris Carson. And over the past couple of years, he's just had basically identical seasons, at least 240 carries, over 1,000 yards, 4.7 yards per attempt, 4.4. He's the red zone back there. They draft DJ Dallas, who is just probably going to cut into what Penny's going to do out of the backfield catching balls. So they still want to run the football in Seattle. So Chris Carson is my RB1, pairing him up with Julio and Tyreek Hill.
And that brings up to
see the smile on Funston's face there.
Well, that would have been a tough one for me. I would have had a hard time deciding on that. Of course, I'm a Seahawks fan, and I would have had a hard time passing on Carson. It's kind of one of those ones where, but do I want him? I think, because of the injuries the last 2 years, it may be happy that someone else took him, so I didn't have to make that call.
Fair enough.
Let's see. That brings it to me. Josh Jacobs and Chris Godwin. I'm gonna, as much as I like Zach Moss, I'm gonna go Devin Singletary. I think that Zach Moss is probably a 10-touch guy. It's a heavy team. Devin Singletary is going to be the lead guy that can give him opportunities in the passing game. I think that's going to be a bump up in his receptions total. So I will take Singletary here.
Evil DVR, you got Derrick Henry and Travis Kelce. Do you need to take a wide receiver here with one of these two picks? Or two wide receivers, or what? What's your strategy? Do you have a strategy? Just two best available right now.
There was one running back that I was hoping would fall, and he did make it back. So I'm going to take Aaron Jones with the first of the two picks. I mean, this is a guy that averaged over 18 fantasy points per game in half PPR leagues last year. It's the last year of his rookie deal. I think he's a focal point in the offense. I look at A.J. Dillon as more of a threat to Jamal Williams. This is a team that still found ways to put points on the board, even with the crap receivers they had last year. So I think they can at least kind of hit that floor again. But they might work Jones more than ever if they don't see him as a long-term part of their future. And as I mentioned before, they did such a terrible job adding weapons to the passing game. They probably are going to be even more ground-heavy this season. So Jones is the first pick. I was going to double-tap receivers if he was gone, so now I have to choose between two guys who I think belong in this range. I'm going to go Courtland Sutton with this next pick. I think with Denver adding more weapons, the development of Drew Lock, you look at Sutton as a guy, he had 18 catches for 20-plus yards on 72 catches a year ago. Plenty of big playability. He's going to see a lot more one-on-one coverage now with the addition of Jerry Jeudy. I think that's going to really pull attention away from Courtland Sutton, and I think Drew Lock might actually be legit. I never thought I'd say that, but
yes,
Sutton definitely makes sense. If you're waiting at receiver and you want to get someone that could take a leap this year, he makes a lot of sense in this spot.
So I'm sitting two spots away now. There's Funston and Meaney, and then Nando too. There's a guy I really, really want. So let's go.
Write him down.
Write him down.
I don't have a pen or anything. I don't want to get up again. I don't want to be that guy who keeps getting up.
Just
We'll
scribble it with the
Spell 'em
Christmas
out.
lights.
Spell them out in
text you.
Christmas lights.
Whisper them.
Yeah,
Whisper them.
yeah. It'll be like Stranger Things. Here.
Okay, so I'm going to be true to my rankings here, and this might shock some, but I don't want Amari Cooper. Even in a fictitious mock draft where we're not playing this thing out, I still am distasteful of the roller coaster ride that he provides, and probably a little bit more of a roller coaster with CeeDee Lamb in the fold. So I'm going to go true to my board with running backs and take Cam Akers, who I thought had one of the best landing spots at the running back position. I think he's a straight-up replacement for Todd Gurley. I didn't like Darrell Henderson coming out of Memphis last year. I thought he was overrated. The fact that the Rams didn't play him much at the end of the year when Gurley was hurt, I think was very telling. And then they go out and make a pretty high pick on Cam Akers. I don't think they like Darrell Henderson that much anymore either. I think Cam Akers has a big opportunity here, and so I will take him as my third running back on Funston 2.
Emery Hunt loves Cam Akers, if that makes you feel even better about this, man. He wrote a nice article about him.
Yes, I like aligning with Emery Hunt's thoughts.
Yeah, right?
Me too.
That's always a win.
Okay, so Meaney too. You got Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, and Chris Carson. What's it going to be?
Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to take your guy. Again, Funston, you're burning me. Cam Akers in a Sean McVay offense. Absolutely. They do not like Henderson, despite drafting him early last year. I'm going to go with Lev Bell, and that may surprise some people. You know, as bad as he was last year in all those touches, and what did he have, 3.2 yards per carry, something silly like that. He still finished as RB 17.5 point setting. Obviously, Sam Darnold, you know, he was in and out of the lineup last year. I think the multiple running backs that they threw in there kind of hurt that offense a little bit. So I think Lev Bell, and maybe the time off a couple of years ago hurt him. So a full year, a year two now with the Jets, I feel pretty safe about Lev Bell being my RB2.
All right, my guy was Odell Beckham Jr.
Of course,
Put him on the board for me, Jakey Jakey. I spent $51 on him in the flex league last year. And now I'm getting him in the 4th round. And I don't think anyone else wanted him. So, yeah, feels good.
I would have snapped him up in a heartbeat if he was available for Beller too.
This is dirt cheap on Odell Beckham at this point.
It is.
He wasn't getting past DVR1, if that makes you feel any better, Beller.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
man,
I'm kind of mad that this fell this way, but effing Cooper. I mean,
Cooper.
Oh, he's doing it.
You don't have to do that. You could,
I
you could let him fall a little further if you really
no.
want to.
I mean, he's my second wide receiver paired with what will be super consistent Adam Thielen. So now I can absorb the hit. I mean, when I have Edwards-Helaire, Fournette, and Thielen to start, now Cooper as my number 2 makes a hell of a lot of sense. And that's the only situation. I said, look, that's the only situation, everybody on the show, I think you'll agree, that's the only situation that makes sense, but it's not going to happen in your home league. You're not getting Amari Cooper in the 4th round as your second wide receiver. I got to go take Barkley out to piss while you guys talk.
Wait, what? But you know what? I know we talk about the home leagues versus the expert leagues and stuff, but like I feel like there's a lot of stuff left on this board that I really like, and I kind of, I played like a home leaguer-ish. I think Amari Cooper could fall to the 4th round.
I think so too. Yeah, the love-hate is absolutely real with Amari Cooper, and especially if you've had shares of him over the past couple of years and you've had to deal with it firsthand.
I don't know if you guys know, but like home leagues that I'm in now, like they're pretty mirrored with expert leagues at this point. It used to be a wide variety, but now people do their homework, and I feel like, especially like in the first 4 rounds, you get pretty much a kind of a group thing that happens. So I could see it happening.
Can I just say that we're all considering last year a nightmare for Odell Beckham, and it was, and he still had 74 catches, 1,035 yards, and 4 touchdowns. It's not like he completely fell apart, and it was just everything went wrong for him individually and the Browns collectively. If there's one guy who I would bet on to bounce back in a big way, it's him, I think.
I think you could also like isolate certain plays last year where when he caught the ball or when he went up to make a catch or, made yards after the catch, that he clearly still has all the talent that we love about him. And it's just about stars aligning with that Cleveland offense, with the offensive line getting better, with Baker Mayfield playing better. But I think in a perfect scenario, Odell Beckham's as talented as anybody still.
Yeah.
There was one problem in Cleveland last year. Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
We love the pick, Nando.
All right, hey, thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Wait till you see what Nando 1 does. But DVR 1 is up first. That's good DVR.
Hey, good DVR wants to get another receiver here. It seems like the appropriate time to take on some risk. I'm going to take T.Y. Hilton. That calf injury he had last year was a major, major issue, and now he's 30 years old. So, I mean, there's definitely added risk that he's just the kind of guy that's going to battle soft tissue injuries like that going forward. That could just be part of the profile now. But if you look back, 2 of his last healthy seasons, he's still a 14-plus point guy in this format. Half PPR, has the big playability. We saw occasional flashes of that last year, but not what we're accustomed to. You get an upgraded quarterback, Phillip Rivers, there now as well. Maybe not ideal for T.Y., but just more consistency in that offense can only be a good thing. So I'll take the chance on T.Y. Hilton here.
Jake, that was a pretty quick dog walk.
I said she had to go potty.
I think you had to go potty.
She had to
All
go
right,
to the
look.
bathroom. She's good.
You all doubted me about 15 minutes ago, but here I am
Melvin
with Nando
Gordon?
1 and Melvin Gordon, James Conner, Raheem Mostert, David Johnson, Mark Ingram, Darius Guice, Phil Lindsay, David Montgomery, blah, blah, blah. One of these guys is going to be that first running back. And I think it's going to be Melvin Gordon. I'll do it.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, Nando.
Good pick. Good pick.
Right? Thank you.
They all have question marks. That's why.
Yeah, but everybody has question marks. You took Amari Cooper. You hate Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper's proven. Look, I'm going to get my 6 great weeks. I'm going to enjoy the rest.
I think at this point, a lot of the backs have question marks.
I love
Amari
Melvin
was the
Gordon,
last-
but 4 seasons out of 5, under 4 yards per carry now. And they said some major offensive line injuries that have been a part of that. But, man, I mean, I think the thing I'm more worried about is Phillip Lindsay. Like, in a situation where he could have been a 3-down back, love it. And maybe the per carry numbers go up. Maybe working in tandem actually makes him more effective, and not having a holdout also, bodes well for him going to this season as well.
Beller 2, you're up. This is the team with Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, first I just want to point out, Nando, you love the Big Ten, that team. Michael Thomas, George Kittle, Melvin Gordon. 3 Big Ten guys
Who knew?
on that team. So number 1, great job there. Way to embrace the best football conference in the country. Number 2, this team desperately needs a wide receiver. I was going A.J. Brown if he was there, DJ Chark if he wasn't. A.J. Brown is there, so we'll throw A.J. Brown on this team. Think the guy that we saw over the back half of last season can be who he is for a full season. I trust Ryan Tannehill a little bit more than I do Gardner Minshew going into the season, so that's another bonus for A.J. Brown. Very happy to make this my first wide receiver. I would be a little bit wary about not having a wide receiver in general until pick 44. But if I can go the first 3 guys I had on this team and then A.J. Brown is my wide receiver 1, I'll feel pretty good about that.
Funston 1 is up. I didn't realize you were stuck on the ends like this.
Yeah,
In a very highly sniped role.
I'm doing all right. I'm feeling fine with where I'm at.
He was the one that advocated for full random.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I'll own that. Look, I got Cooper Kupp and Juju Smith-Schuster here, so I'm doing all right at wide receiver. I got Kamara, so put mine another running back, and I just had to go switch my running back rankings because I had these guys, James Conner and Raheem Mostert, in my rankings, and now as I actually have to pull the trigger, I want Mostert over Conner. And I don't know if you guys have that experience a lot where you do your rankings, but then you actually get in when the bullets are flying and you realize that you have a different opinion when push comes to shove. So I thought Mostert was one of the biggest winners of the kind of the draft experience with Matt Breida getting traded to Miami. And so looking like the clear lead guy in very run heavy, awesome running offense. So
until week 3 gets here and it's Tevin Coleman and then it's Jerick McKinnon and then it's LaMichael Hasty in week 6.
It won't be Jerick McKinnon.
Are you hanging your hat on that? Are you making your stand on Coleman and McKinnon?
I'm making my stand on I will never in the history of forever trust Shanahan. That's what it is.
Well, I'm going off your rankings here, Jake.
He learned from Dad.
I only took the second running back down your list at this point. So
that's certainly fair. And I'm going against my rankings as I did before with Kenny Galladay over Juju Smith-Schuster. Not because I don't look, Chris knows how much I love DJ Chark, but I think the only reason Devontae Parker is even this low in most rankings is because we're all kind of like, do we really trust it again? Do we really trust Fitzpatrick again? And the truth is, look, we wanted Devontae Parker to be this entire career, and he finally is, and now we're still all hesitant, including myself. But I'll take Devontae Parker for the fact that, hell, if he repeats, now I got a top 10 wide receiver in the 4th round.
Jake, you got back-to-backs here.
He was my next wide receiver. I thought about him here. If I didn't have 2 receivers already, I would have taken him.
What did you say, Nando?
Oh, no, you know what? I wasn't scrolled all the way over on my screen. Never mind, Jakey. It means
trying to take my pick, Nando. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So I believe in DJ Chark. I think he's a heck of a wide receiver, and there really isn't a solid number 2. There's a lot of question marks. Who's the number 2? It could be Leonard Fournette is the number 2 pass catcher in that offense, but I like DJ Chark. I thought, if I didn't have Austin Eckler, I probably would go down the Keenan Allen role, but I'm fine here with DJ Chark.
That's a very balanced team you've put together. Actually, Meaney, Jake, and Funston, you've got a very nice balance here with these 3 teams, with 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers.
You got one. You're the only person with one of every position.
Well, I appreciate the diversity of color.
It looks nice. It does. The colors
pretty.
Look nice in the spreadsheet. I agree.
I'm all about the aesthetics, Jake.
Should I add some yellow kickers and just destroy your team?
Yeah, I might do that just to piss you off, Jake.
That's why I said yellow, because of piss. There you go.
Jake, come on, man.
Oh, wait, no. You know what I'll do for kickers are brown for poop, because Nando loves poop.
It's not true.
Is that not true?
Can we just let Bella make his pick, Jake, and not worry about my fecalphilia?
That has to be the first time that's been said on one of these.
Yeah.
All right, so
balance here. You're gonna go like boom, boom, and like start a run. What's in your mind right now?
Yeah, so I was definitely going receiver if Chark were still there. So damn it, Meaney, but that's all good. I'm definitely going to take one receiver here. First, though, I want to say last pick I took Allen Robinson. I meant to show this off. Look at this great shirt I'm wearing for this. Look at this. Check it out. Peanut Tillman's Punch Out.
Nice. That is nice.
Pretty good stuff, right? Got to show that off. So go Bears. Love that shirt. I am going to take Keenan Allen. A little bit wary of Keenan Allen in a post-Phillip Rivers world, but that's baked into this price, right? I don't think we'd be getting Keenan Allen this late if that weren't the case. So very happy with Keenan Allen here. Debating between 2 players, one of them being a running back. I won't say who because I'm not going to take him, but I feel good about McCaffrey and Drake off the top. Would feel good about this running back in a flex spot, but I'm going to go to Darren Waller. Love what we saw from him last year. Think he can still be the number 1 guy in the Oakland passing game, or in the Las Vegas passing game, excuse me. And I like the price on him here too. Feels good to have a meaningful tight end in fantasy football these days. And again, I don't think he's a steal by any stretch of the imagination. Feel like this is a fair spot for him to be in behind George Kittle and Travis Kelce. It feels like the appropriate gap from those guys down to him. But I do think that he is comfortably the number 3 tight end ahead of Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, Rob Gronkowski, whoever.
I love this. So this is round 5. So is when we get, a lot of teams have their starters kind of filled up, and it's when it gets a little weird with the flexes, the tight ends, the little backups here and there. So, Chris Meaney, you got 2 of each.
Yeah,
so actually 3 of them who have the last name beginning with the letter E.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to echo a lot of what Beller just said with the tight ends. I actually think it's pretty close between Waller and Andrews after those first 2 come off the board, and Kelsey and Kittle. I think you could really even pair Zach Ertz in there despite all the weapons that Philadelphia just got Jalen Hurts. So I will go ahead and lock in Mark Andrews as
Nice, subtle.
N1.
Very subtle joke there, Meaney. I like that.
It does hurt still as an Eagles guy. Yikes.
I was
Jake,
going Mark
you do
Andrews.
your own segues, Jake, so I didn't call on you.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
I was going to go Mark Andrews. I was hesitant about Darren Waller, but I was going to go with one of the 2 of them now. So I'm not taking Ertz here. I am legitimately concerned, not just for Ertz, but for Goddard. And now they drafted set. Like, there's somebody. I know Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, somebody's not making this team, or somebody's not healthy with how many receivers they took. But there's just way too many weapons at this point. So we talked about them earlier. Was that other? I'm so tired. I don't even know how many shows I've done at this point. We might not even have talked about him on the show. So I'll just repeat myself in case I didn't. James Conner, the only threat he has is not being healthy. And that's why I said look out for the backup opportunity to Pirine. But I don't think it's a legitimate he's going to come in and take his job unless there's something wrong. So if James Conner's healthy, James Conner's an RB1. James Conner in the 5th round is worth the gamble.
I like that pick.
That was the back that I was debating with Darren Waller.
I had that debate with myself.
You didn't want to say his name out loud in case someone wasn't looking at the top guy in the queue.
You know, drafts are there's a sanctity around these things.
I meant to say
I didn't want to put it out there.
Too. I'm all over the place.
Over Beller too.
You screwed over Beller too.
All the things that Jake said about Connor, you can say about David Johnson. If he's healthy, he's going to have a big workload. He's going to catch a ton of passes. I will take David Johnson, who, if you look back to like the first 6 games last year before he had the initial injury, he was highly productive in fantasy. Bill O'Brien has massive motivation to make David Johnson a good player this year. They have no competition. So I will go ahead and take David Johnson.
If I didn't take Connor, I was taking David Johnson.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at David Johnson too here.
I mean, Connor and David Johnson in the 5th could absolutely be steals of the entire draft, even if they just give us a little bit of what they've done in the past.
Yeah,
Beller too. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think we're good with David Johnson. I was expecting more of a backlash with that pick. You kind of feel like you get to the point where you have to defend a pick like that, but it sounds like you guys are on the same wavelength. I'm
on board.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a pride factor at play for BOB on that one, so I could get on board with that. A team that feels like it needs another wide receiver after going back QB for the first 3 picks. I know that we are all year after year after year frustrated with the way that Seattle treats the passing game and with how they don't just unleash Russell Wilson and let him be who he is. But I will still take his number 1 pass target 10 times out of 10 at this spot, especially when I am needy of a receiver. So we'll throw Tyler Lockett onto the squad.
Nando 1's up next. This is the colorful team with Thomas, Kittle, Jackson.
What color is he gonna go?
You know what? I want Darius Geis, and just like I don't know if I'm looking over the wide receiver column and I really want Stefan Diggs, but I think he's gonna last a little while. Although at this point, he's 7 on the list here in the queue. But I think at this point, people just kind of have their guys they like. Like Jarvis Landry's somebody take Jarvis Landry, but I'm gonna go Darius Geis. He healed. He's going to be the running back. New system. I just like him, and this team is weird, and I'm kind of embracing it all now. So, DVR, good DVR. You're up next. I hope I stole him from you.
Yeah, this little run right here. So I made a mistake last round with T.Y. Hilton in the 4th, just because I thought one of Connor or Johnson or one of Mark Andrews or Darren Waller would be there for me in the 5th. Had I known it was going to play out that way, I would have taken my chances on Hilton or just gone to a different receiver in the 5th round and taken one of those running backs or tight ends instead. So definitely a lesson learned here today. I'm going to go ahead and pop Kelvin Ridley in here as my 3rd receiver. A couple other guys that are really interesting. AJ Green kind of fits the theme of some of the players we're talking about. If he's just healthy, he's probably worth more than this. We just don't know. I mean, it was a totally lost season for him a year ago. He should be fine. The offense should be a lot better. But I also don't think pairing AJ Green behind T.Y. Hilton is a good build either, because that's a lot of injury risk in your top two of your top 3 receivers. So I'm going to leave Green out there probably for somebody else. But yeah, I like the mix here, getting a little young upside play to kind of offset the boring, risky T.Y. Hilton pick in the last round.
All right, Jake, this is your team that started with Edwards-Helaire and Leonard Fournette, then went Thielen and your guy Cooper. What are you doing? Are you going to fill your flex? Are you going to go for a tight? Are you going to get Gronk, Jake?
No, I'm not getting Gronk. Screw Gronk.
See, I guarantee you like Jake 1 better than Jake 2. And this is like, knowing you, Jake, you're very serious about Jake 1. And Jake 2, now that you got Amari Cooper, you're just like, screw it. I'm just going to take some shots here.
If that was the case, I would go take, I don't know, your Jordan Howard pick just to screw you over. Like that's, but no, I actually was going with 2 wide receivers, and like the decision, DVR made the decision for me. So I'll take AJ Green, because if he's even close to what he used to be, he was top 5 wide receiver. So it's similar to David Johnson, similar to James Conner. At this point in the 5th round, it's worth the potential. He's my 3rd wide receiver.
That brings up Nando too, which is nice balance. Hopkins, Mixon, Gurley, and Beckham. Kind of want Evan Ingram here, but I also think that Terry McLaurin is not getting enough respect for what he did last season. But I think Evan Ingram's just solid and underrated, and I think was injured a little bit and has a good rapport with Daniel Jones. So Evan Ingram, I'm going to fill up my tight end spot, and Meaney will take Gronk then.
Passes, Ertz, and Gronk.
I'm so happy. Yes, I love this guy. I absolutely love Terry McLaurin. I am in love with a lot of what he does. 93 targets, almost 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns, playing with just Dwayne Haskins, for parts of the season, who, let's be honest, has, a lot to prove to be a capable quarterback. And he's still able to do that. He's obviously the clear-cut number 1 option in this passing game. The team is not great. The defense is not great. They're going to be playing from behind often. So Terry McLaurin as my 3rd wide receiver behind Julio Jones and Tyreek Hill. I absolutely love this.
So just like DVR, lesson learned, I should have taken McLaurin and waited on Ingram. Know the people you're drafting with.
Yeah.
We could have tacked another few rounds onto this draft, and I think you might have still been able to get Ingram.
Plus evil DVR already has a tight end, so you got to look at the other teams too.
Yeah, but I was thinking I like Evan Ingram, so you never know. Meaney might have taken him.
Nope.
Funston 2 is only got 1 wide receiver, 3 running backs though.
Yeah, so give me DK Metcalf. I know he doesn't throw a lot, but they only throw to really 2 receivers. They got a whole bunch of tight ends and some non-threatening running backs in the passing game. I know Carson will get a few, and the tight ends will get a few, but it's really about Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And Metcalf was almost 1,000 yards as a rookie. He's an absolute physical marvel, and bubbling chemistry with Mr. Russell Wilson, so I'm happy with that. Plus, you know me, I'm a Seahawks fan.
That brings up Evil DVR for 2, and this will be your 5th and 6th picks. We're going to end this after the 6th round. It doesn't mean that's the end of your team, so there's still like some hidden strategy you're not going to see that will probably hit in some of the follow-up questions. But DVR, Evil 2 right now, Derrick Henry, Travis Kelce, Aaron Jones, Cortland Sutton, blank, buddy.
DJ Moore for the first one. 135 targets last year in 15 games. The quarterback situation is a concern, but it was a major concern last year when he put together that season as well. I just think this is a dynamic player who can work in just about any scheme. He's the kind of guy that I wish the Packers actually would have found in a recent draft. That would have been a good long-term addition, but enough Packer talk for today. I'm just pissed about everything that they've been doing. I'm going to try not to let it drag me down too much. I think I got to get another receiver though, even after the DJ Moore pick, and I'm a little bit torn. There's a couple safe options on the board, but Deebo Samuel, man, let's swing for the fences again. I think Evil DVR is a gambler just based on the way this has started to come together in the last few rounds, and Deebo I think has a chance to be. Maybe Kittle is the true number 1 pass catcher in that offense, but I'd like Deebo enough to maybe see him as the clear-cut number 2, and that could be a big leap forward for him. Almost 10 yards per target last year as a rookie. I think the volume goes through the roof this year.
And that brings us sorry, someone going to say something?
No, it brings it to me, and that was an absolute kick in the crotch. I love DJ Samuel. He was the last wide receiver kind of in this tier that I really wanted. And
why does everybody hate Robert Woods?
We don't hate Jared Goff, really. It's
that's kind of what it is.
He funnels to 3 people.
I don't want to be the guy that drafted 3 Rams today.
Oh, that's another good point.
So I will go ahead and take the obvious top guy on the tight end list, the guy who had 1 less target than Travis Kelce, who year in and year out is just one of the top producers at the tight end position, and I don't think that's going to change this year. So give me Zach Ertz.
All right, that finishes off your team with Jacobs, Godwin, Singletary, Akers, Metcalf, and Ertz. Chris Meaney, your second team, Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, Chris Carson, Le'Veon Bell, and Terry McLaurin. How are you going to finish this off?
Yeah, so I am debating between the two here, Mark Ingram and Robert Woods. It is crazy to me, actually, that Robert Woods has fallen this far. I mean, he has 269 targets over the last 2 years, and Jake, you bring up a good point. I mean, Goff throws to a couple guys. It's basically it. But I wonder what my running back depth will be like if I pass here on a third back. I'll be really just taking a couple shots when I won't feel too comfortable about it. So I'm going to leave Woods. And I'm going to take Mark Ingram. I think that Mark Ingram still has 1 solid campaign left in him, and Baltimore wants to run the football. I don't think he's going anywhere. In a dynasty league, of course, this is somebody who's going to fall down the draft board. But I think Mark Ingram, for this value as my third back, I feel okay about it.
Yeah,
That brings up Nando, too. So, man, as much as I'd like to take Woods here, this is a team that has 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. I feel like I want more running back depth here because it looks like it's going to drop off pretty soon.
Yeah.
And with Kareem Hunt, I think he's going to be a big factor in that Browns offense. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, yeah, you're slot. And I meant to look up his slot percentage before we did the show, but I know it's pretty high when I was checking it last year. So I'm going to take Kareem Hunt. I think he's going to play a lot of slot, maybe slot, act like almost like a wide receiver in many ways. So there you go. That's how I'm going to end it off with a little extra running back depth. That brings up Jakey Jakey too. Edwards-Helaire, Leonard Fournette, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, A.J. Green. So it looks like you're set at wide receiver. No
like
tight end.
Belichick, the dog's going to make the pick. That's why.
Yeah.
Tap.
What kicker does he like?
I think your dog said Ronald Jones. Put him on the board.
No, it did not say Ronald Jones. Part of me wants to take Stephon Diggs just to pair him back with Adam Thielen again. But this already has 3 wide receivers on it. So I'm going to go, and I hate to have 2 rookies on the same team, but I'm going pure upside here. I'm not going J.K. Dobbins. I think he's like, let somebody else draft and wait for him like Miles Sanders last year. So I'm going to go with the one that might be with Tom Brady in the backfield because Ronald Jones does kind of suck, and Keyshawn Vaughn can play in the pass. Actually, he's the best, arguably the best pass blocker in this draft, which is huge when you're playing with Tom Brady. So I'm going to take Keyshawn Vaughn.
Nice.
Jake, just looking at your rankings, you're not ever taking Philip Lindsay over Keyshawn Vaughn.
No, well, yeah, we are, especially if we get to look. Here's the thing. Look, we talked about on the podcast yesterday. There was a lot of uncertainty right now. If we get to July and teams still aren't meeting, rookies and free agents on new teams are going to be behind what they would normally be behind. There's no guarantee that this isn't a split backfield from day one.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right, Jake. Whatever.
I guess that's the argument for it. That's the one argument for it.
Jakey,
it's a legitimate argument. It's a legitimate argument that I still might be clear by week 1, no matter what.
Jake, is that a Moonanite behind you?
Is that a what?
A Moonanite?
No, it's not a Moonanite. It's pretty close. I know what you're talking about for the Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It is not a Moonanite.
Yeah.
No, that's the medium invader from Space Invader.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
It does kind of look a little bit like the Moonanite, a little bit.
All right. DVR, good DVR is up now. No tight end, but again, we don't need him here in this world. There are going to be many more rounds here to get them. Devontae Adams, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, T.Y. Hilton, Calvin Ridley. Where are you going?
I'm going to go ahead and take a tight end. It's really a coin flip between this guy and one of his teammates at wide receiver. But with 3 receivers already, Tyler Higbee was heavily used down the stretch. I mean, I think it's easy to almost forget if you didn't own him, if you didn't pick him up, or you didn't play against him in the fantasy playoffs. Double-digit targets each of the last 4 games. It just seemed like when Brandon Cooks wasn't right, Tyler Higbee's role went up. It wasn't a direct adjustment, but it's just one of the things the Rams seemed to change kind of permanently down the stretch last year. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. I mean, 11 catches of 20 or more yards on 69 catches a year ago. Probably a good floor as a top 10 tight end. Maybe he's not the ceiling of a top 4, top 5 guy at the position, but I think he fits here.
That brings up Nando 1, which is Michael Thomas, George Kittle, Lamar Jackson, Melvin Gordon, Darius Geis. So I do need a second wide receiver. I'm going to go Stefan Diggs here. I just think he's good. I think, all the Josh Allen accuracy issues, he seems like the kind of guy who's there who could maybe fix it with his deft skill and cutting. So that brings up Beller 2, Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Patrick Mahomes, A.J. Brown, Tyler Lockett. Nice balance. Where are you going to go?
You made the pick for me. I was leaning toward Robert Woods anyways, so I will take him. I would have considered Diggs, but with A.J. Brown, with Tyler Lockett, with the uncertainty of Jonathan Taylor being a rookie and having to fight for carries, fight for everything with Marlon Mack, even though I do think that he's going to be the number one guy there is a little bit of uncertainty on this team. So I think Steph Diggs would have just added to that. I think it could be very boomer bust in Buffalo with Josh Allen. Really no question about Robert Woods is going to give you week in, week out. So I like the stability that he brings to the table for this team.
All right, Brandon Funston, you're up to finish off the 6th round pick here. We got Jake, Meaney, and Beller on deck. Beller 1 on deck. Kamara, Kupp, Smith-Schuster, Mostert, and David Johnson. Where are you going from there?
Yeah, I would like to have another wide receiver here, but I don't know. I'm just not in love with any of these guys. I'm fine. There's a whole bunch of them that I kind of feel are similar. So I'm going to take I think this is a time in any draft, it might be past time that we start the second tier quarterback run, and I'm going to start it. And it's going to be Kyler Murray.
Yes.
Huge, duality with the versatility. He could give Lamar Jackson a run for his money if anybody could in terms of rushing, and you throw in DeAndre Hopkins to pair with him now. I like it. So I'm gonna go Kyler Murray right here.
All right, Jakey Jakey. The next 3 teams also don't have quarterbacks. Saquon Barkley, Kenny Golladay, Miles Sanders, Devontae Parker, James Conner. We talked earlier about how this is Jake's favorite team. He doesn't like his other one. So Jake, you went running back, wide receiver, running back. Who's up? You can do wide receiver and keep your pace up, or are you gonna go somewhere else?
I'm going back to wide receiver. I might think about quarterback, but I even said what I said before about it, and I would just be happy to come out of a draft with even Tom Brady at this point. He was 12th last year, playing with nobody in the Patriots system, let alone now being with the Buccaneers. Just to throw that out there, not that I'm really targeting him, but so yeah, I'm going wide receiver, and on the board you have 2 Mr. Consistents in Landry and Edelman, especially for PPR, but you also have both of them injuries at this point. And I do have Golladay and Parker, which are 2 potential wide receiver ones. So I'm going to go with what could be the breakout wide receiver of the year, Hollywood Brown, who wasn't healthy for half of last season. And I'll take that potential, who could be Amari Cooper this year.
Nice, Jake. All right, so Jake went very nice coloring, blue, orange. No one can see it, but
Mets.
Imagine it. Yeah.
We'll post the board in the article.
Oh, yeah, good call. You will see.
There you go.
Check it out below in the article. Chris Meaney, Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, Mike Evans, DJ Chark, and Mark Andrews. So a lot of balance. Actually, you and Beller have the same 2 running back, 2 wide receivers.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
We'll see if you guys do the same thing to finish this off or what. But Meaney, go ahead. It's your pick.
Yeah, I really like Henry Ruggs, and he's my favorite rookie wide receiver. I'm not going to take him here, but knowing that Beller has Waller, and he probably wouldn't go that way, I would probably take Ruggs on the way back. Just my thought process there, thinking between him and Jarvis Landry. I'm going to give Dave Montgomery a shot. I know he let me down a lot last year. Definitely let me down a lot last year, that's for sure. Lost a lot of leagues because of Dave Montgomery. But, it seems like maybe, potentially, and Beller could probably back this up, that they started to figure it out with Nagy towards the end of the season. At least he had some games where he was touching the ball 20 times, right? In the first few weeks of the season, 6, 7, 8 carries, what was happening there. I mentioned earlier they have a lot of tight ends, so I think that they'll focus right off the get-go in year 2 with Montgomery just to feed the rock to him because he deserves it.
Not quite as confident, but I like the pick. We could go to Brad Evans, see what he thinks about this one after he was out there so strongly on Montgomery last year. But I've got the last pick.
PFF in this people too.
Yeah, right. So I hope you're right. I'll say that. I definitely hope you're right because it would be fun for that to be true. This is the last pick of this little exercise. Funston, I was going to make a point of taking Kyler Murray just to make sure he got drafted. To me, he is the 3rd guy after Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. I mean, this guy he was QB7 last year in 4-point touchdowns and total points, QB 12 in points per game. Larry Fitzgerald had 804 yards and was his leading receiver They had no consistency in the run game, and now you add DeAndre Hopkins to that. I think Kyler Murray is right. We had Mahomes in 18, and we had Lamar Jackson
let's throw
in 19.
that out for discussion then.
Kyler Murray in 20.
Can I
Let's
say
throw that
something
out
here, Jake? Because I want to respond to something you said, Jake. We're in a 12-team league, and you're like, I could just wait and get Tom Brady. He was QB 12 last year. Well, we don't. I mean, that's not your goal. Your goal shouldn't be in a 12-team league, I want to get the quarterback 12. Like, we don't say that about running backs. You know, like, oh, I don't need McCaffrey or Elliott because I can get the RB 12 later. Well, you want the guys
that's apples and oranges.
It's not really what I'm saying though. Is like, yeah, you can get quarterback 12. That's great, but why do you get someone who has a chance to be a step above that? You know, that class.
Because Tom Brady in Tampa Bay could be QB 5. I'm not taking Tom Brady. Josh Allen could be what Kyler Murray. And that's why I was stopping Beller.
QB 1. I mean, Kyler Murray.
No. I play money right now on this show. I will slap down money. Kyler Murray is not QB1. No, but this is
you would have to give him like plus 500 at least.
Yeah, you got to give him odds. I mean, it's within it's in the realm of possibility. Like there are some players who can't be quarterback.
So is Josh Allen. So is Aaron Rodgers bouncing back. But that's why I was bringing this up when Beller said that about Murray and why Funston took Murray. Is let's chill out on Murray. Look. Chris knows on the podcast, I said Kyler Murray's number 4. When the draft happened, Dak Prescott was already number 3 last year and just added CeeDee Lamb. If Dak Prescott's not back inside the top 4, he's fired. Like there's no way I'm taking Murray because he could be over Dak Prescott, who already was, and now add CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, but I'm fine if you take Dak Prescott. Honestly, I was thinking between Prescott and Murray.
I was jumping because Beller said there's no doubt that he's number 3.
Well, if Beller took Prescott right here, I wouldn't even blink an eye. I think he goes
right. Me too.
Right about now.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have Zeke, I would have gone Dak.
But back to Beller's point, I could pair Tom Brady with Ben Roethlisberger. The last time he played, he threw for 5,000 yards and 40 almost touchdowns. I could go that way. I could go to Carson Wentz, who's showing the flash of that. Baker Mayfield could be what everybody wanted Baker Mayfield to be last year. That's my point. Is I could double down at the end of the draft, take 2 quarterbacks. One of them probably hits top 5 instead of spending the 5th or 6th round pick on it.
That's all.
Kyler Murray's going to be this year's Baker Mayfield at this point because he's going to be so not 6th round. I would take him, Brandon. I would definitely take him in the 6th round, but he's going to be this year's Baker Mayfield who's so wildly overdrafted. You're going to be buying him at his peak.
Is he going to be overdrafted though?
Yes. People are going crazy.
Sure? I think he will get overdrafted, but I think at this point in the draft, it's fine. Like, again, we talked about your home leagues and your expert leagues, whatever it may be. Kyler's probably a guy who's going to be gone by the end of the 4th.
Right.
Good. Wow. All right, Beller, you got your last pick. Now that we know you're not taking Kyler Murray because he's already been taken.
I can't take him. Yeah, I know. I can't. So right. I mean, technically, I could. It's almost like I could take 2 guys here, right? Because I could just say one of them's my 6th round pick and one of them's my 7th round pick. So if this were real and if we were continuing on, the 2 picks who I would come out of here with would be Dak Prescott and Phillip Lindsay. And we can throw Dak on the board to make the point that
Ruggs with your 7th round pick, so Meaney couldn't have him.
No,
that would be something to do, right? But yeah, everything you say about Dak Prescott, Jake, I agree with you there. And you got to love the addition of CeeDee Lamb and the consistency that he has had every single year of his career. I feel like Dak is a guy who got overlooked before last season, and people didn't realize just how consistent he was across the first couple of years of his career. So I would be very happy to come away with him in this spot. And then, yes, we were continuing on. Phillip Lindsay would be the way that I would start the 7th round for us.
All right. So that wraps up our 6th round mock. Just to really quickly, just a little more context. Still on the board as we're looking forward here: Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, J.K. Dobbins still out there, James White, Jordan Howard, Darrell Henderson. So running backs looking a little thin here. Tariq Cohen, there you go. For wide receivers, still a little deep: Jarvis Landry, Julian Edelman. It looks like Henry Ruggs would have been taken by Meaney, but there's
not what it looks like on the board.
Yes, I mean, it's someone pasted it into his pick. And the rookies, Judy and Lamb, are still out there. As far as tight end, Rob Gronkowski, Hayden Hurst, Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, Austin Hooper, they're all still out there. So we hope you enjoyed this exercise. Again, want to thank everybody and their doppelgangers and Jake's dog for joining us.
Nando, let that be a testament to everybody how insanely deep wide receiver is, though. Because
Yeah.
look at how trashy running back is through 6 rounds. And the fact that we have Landry, Edelman, Ruggs, Boyd, Slayton, Crowder, Gallup, Marvin Jones, Sterling. There's ridiculous
Studs.
names still on the board.
Yeah.
Robbie Anderson.
Yes, Robbie Anderson.
Jake,
John Brown.
Save it for your breakdown on the round table. We got to go. We cut our hours. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this and it was helpful and, helped you kill some time today. See you all later. Make sure you subscribe and do all that fun stuff too. Bye.